Hey everyone, this is Carlo Larasso, Senior Editor here at Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity. And what we have for you today is the JBL 4312G loudspeaker. JBL lately, in case you haven't noticed, has been going through a bit of a nostalgia kick with some of their recent products. They've been getting inspiration from some of their greatest hits from the 1970s and using those as springboards for some of their newer releases. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen the L100, which is about a speaker about the same size as this one, and it has that iconic squared-off foam grille. That was based off a home model that JBL had in the 70s. This, the 4312G, unlike that one, is based off the design of a Pro monitor, the 4310 and 11 series from the 1970s, which were very popular in like tons of recording studios throughout the U.S. and abroad. Unlike the L100s, where the drivers are in line, top to bottom, these have offset drivers, and this is known as a mirror-imaged pair of speakers. That gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of placement, and you can mess around with things and set up a little bit more depending on your room to see what sounds best to you. You can use them like I have them here right now with the tweeter on the facing on the inside. You could swap it around and have the other one over here and have the tweeter on the outside, or you can actually turn them over on their side with the tweeter on top and the mid-range underneath, and have them on their sides, which was actually back in the day how the originals, the 4310s and 11s, were used a lot in recording studios. They were either put in soffits or on shelves over the control board and set up on their sides. So you can have a little bit of fun with placement and experiment to see which sounds good to you. The driver complement of these speakers is they have a 1-inch aluminum magnesium alloy tweeter, a 5-inch polymer coated pulp mid-range, and then this big 12-inch pulp woofer. The JBL 4312Gs also have these two little attenuator knobs on the top. One adjusts the amount of mid-range, and the other adjusts the amount of high frequency. Tweaking it to the mid-range to 6 and the tweeter to 6.5 sounded good to my ears after a little bit of listening. As you can see, my listening area is a pretty decently sized basement room. It's about 23 by 35 with 7.5-foot ceilings. It's a working art studio. It's not a fancy looking furniture shop. It's not an IKEA store. It's a working space, and this is where I listen to most of my music. For listening tests, the speakers were positioned just shy of 9 feet apart, and the listening position was about 9.5 feet back. So I guess the big question is, how do these sound? In a word, enjoyable. I mean, really enjoyable. These are really enjoyable speakers. I found that they have, in this room, they had good, solid response. If you want really low organ notes and stuff, yeah, you're gonna need a subwoofer. I didn't try mating these ones with a subwoofer, but you could if you wanted to. But for most music listening, these put out, plenty of solid and impactful bass. So I didn't really feel the need to have to try hooking them up to a subwoofer. Frequency-wise, when I was listening to anything with a vocal in it, whether male or female, the vocals were nice. They were rich. They had a little bit more prominence in them. Not super forward, but I felt like when I was listening to jazz music in particular, the vocals just stood out just a touch, not in an annoying or jarring way, but just they were there. and you know, noticeable, more palpable. The 4312Gs aren't the most I won't say revealing, because they do pretty well, but they're not ruthless. They're not like, you know, surgically precise, but they're sharp enough where I could definitely pick out where instruments and vocals and people were situated in the soundstage pretty easily. But again, they're not ruthless sounding. They're not overly clinical, which is why I say they're a fun speaker to listen to. They're a good all-rounder. I mean, I played rock on them, metal, jazz, big orchestral pieces, and I mean, I went through a lot of vinyl on these speakers, funny enough. I mean, they sounded obviously really good with digital, like any good speaker should. But I found out they've really enjoyed. I spent a lot of time listening to a lot of vinyl on these, and I just found it seemed to work better. I don't know what it is with JBL speakers. I felt the same way with the 4367s when I had them in here. I just like played a bunch of vinyl on them, and it just made it sound really good. These aren't too hard to drive. You know, I think they have a 6 ohm impedance, but they're not too difficult to drive at all. And they just sound, you know, really enjoyable. They're a fun pair of speakers. For $2,500 for the pair, they compete against a bunch of other things. And but you know, I think they hold their own really well. And you know, if you like nostalgia a little bit like I do, you're my age, you know, or you know, you kind of like a speaker that you know, maybe looks like something you saw in your parents' or your uncle's basement when you were younger. Sure as hell sounds a heck of a lot better than those did. You know, you might find these kind of appealing. So that's in a nutshell the end of the review. So guys, thanks so much for watching the video, and please read the complete review with bench tests and other little details on the Secrets Foam Theater and High Fidelity website. Thanks again, and till we see you next time.